Madam President.
The senator from Vermont.
Madam President, it sometimes happens that issues of enormous consequence seem to be ignored and don't get anywhere near the discussion that it requires. And one such issue which needs to be put on the table, needs to be dealt with, needs to be resolved, is the crisis in youth unemployment in America in general, and specifically among Black and Hispanic youth. Madam President, let me provide you with some new information that I recently received from the Economic Policy Institute, one of the important nonpartisan economic think tanks in our country. And what this information tells us is that the level of youth unemployment in this country has reached tragic dimensions, and it is especially tragic for the African American and Hispanic communities. The Economic Policy Institute recently analyzed census data on unemployment among young people, those people who are either jobless, those people who have given up looking for work, or those people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time. In other words, what real unemployment is about. And, Madam President, this is what they found. They found that during April of 2014 to March of 2015, the average real unemployment rate for Black high school graduates aged 17 to 20 was 51.3%. Let me repeat that over the last year, from April 2014 to March of 2015, the average real unemployment rate for Black high school graduates was 51.3%. The jobless figure for Hispanics in the same age group was 36.1%, and for young white high school graduates, the number was 33.8%. Madam President, this is an issue that cannot be ignored. An entire generation of young people who are trying to get their lives together, trying to earn some money, trying to become independent, are unable to find work. And this is an issue that must be dealt with. Madam President, even young Americans with a college degree are finding it increasingly difficult to get a job. The real unemployment rate for young Black college graduates between the ages of 21 and 24 was 23%. The figure for Hispanics was 22.4%, and the figure for whites was 12.9%. Madam President, today in America, over 5.5 million young people have either dropped out of high school or have graduated high school and do not have jobs. And it is no great secret that without work, without education, without hope, people get into trouble. And the result is, and this is not unrelated, the result is that tragically, in America today, we have more people in jail than any other country on earth, including China, an authoritarian communist country with a population 4 times our size. How does that happen? That in this great nation, we have more people in jail than any other country and far more than a communist authoritarian society in China, 4 times our size. Today, the United States is 5% of the world's population, yet we have 25% of the world's prisoners. Incredibly, over 3% of our country's population is under some form of correctional control, and according to the NAACP, from 1980 to 2008, the number of people incarcerated in America quadrupled from roughly 500,000 to 2.3 million people. Madam President, if current trends continue, the estimate is that 1 in 3 Black males born today can expect to spend time in prison during his lifetime. This is an unspeakable tragedy. This is an issue that has got to be put on the table and has got to be discussed. But this crisis is not just a destruction of human life. It is also a very, very costly issue to the taxpayers of our country. In America, we now spend nearly $200 billion a year on public safety, including $70 billion on correctional facilities each and every year. Madam President, it is beyond comprehension that we as a nation have not focused attention on the fact that millions of our young people are unable to find work or begin their careers in a productive economy. And this is an issue that we must deal with, and I will do everything I can, and I know I speak for the senator from Michigan, that we will make sure this country pays attention to this issue and deals with this issue. And let me tell you that in my view, it makes a lot more sense to invest in jobs for our young people, in education for our young people, than spending incredible amounts of money on jails and incarceration. Let's give these kids a shot at life. Let's give them a chance. Let's not be locking them up. So the time is long overdue for us to start investing in our young people, to help them get the jobs they need, to help them get the education they need, and to help them get the job training they need so they can be part of the American middle class. The answer to unemployment and poverty is not and cannot be the mass incarceration of young Americans of all races. It is time to bring hope and economic opportunity to communities throughout this country. Last week, I introduced legislation with Congressman John Conyers and Senator Debbie Stabenow to provide $5.5 billion to immediately begin funding states and localities throughout this country to employ 1 million young people between the ages of 16 and 24 and provide job training to hundreds of thousands of young Americans. Now, some people say, well, this is an expensive proposition. I guarantee you that this investment will save money, because it is a heck of a lot more money cost to be putting people in jail than to providing them with jobs and education. We will save lives. We'll create taxpayers. We'll create a middle class, rather than more and more people in jail. So, Madam President, I just wanted to mention that this is an issue that has got to be discussed. I look forward to working with the co-sponsor of this legislation, Senator Stabenow, and we will bring attention to this issue, and I would yield the floor.
Madam President.